Hey everybody, this is a special presentation tonight. We have the interview with a big time wrestler, and he was just on the current season of MTV's The Challenge. We got Lio Rush himself, and this is his video.
Let's break our chains. Poverty is the new devil. It's time to get paid, so let's move to the next level. Let's break our chains. Poverty is the new devil. It's time to get paid, so let's move to the next level.
How's it going, Archie?
Not too bad, Daniel. How's it going?
It's going good. And everybody, welcome to The Buzz, Lio Rush. How's it going, Lio?
How you doing?
Going good. Staple we have here with our interviews that we've done lately is we got the ticker on the bottom. You've appeared on one challenge season. You've won the WWE Cruiserweight title. You just won the MLW Middleweight title, and then you'll be debuting on New Japan Pro Wrestling this Friday.
Yeah. All of those things are right around the corner. It's crazy that, ever since my release, I've been able to have, so many different cool opportunities in and outside of the wrestling world.
Now I'm going to kick it over to Archie right here for the first question that we have.
Just to touch base real quick here. So we have here in Canada tomorrow it's called Bell Let's Talk Day. So it's a day focused on creating a positive change and supporting Canada's mental health system. And since the initiative came into play in 2010, they've reached out in one way or another through their initiative to almost 1.2 billion people through several interactions. And what they do is they take 5 cents of every text message, tweet, hashtag with Bell Let's Talk, and money goes towards the such initiative. Last year, they set a record raising $7.7 million towards this health initiative. So for anybody who's interested, for our Canadian viewers especially, tomorrow is Bell Let's Talk Day. Again, that's 5 cents to mental health initiatives. Use hashtag Bell Let's Talk. For more information, you can go to bell.ca/Let's Talk. And again, it's through talk, text, tweet. Anything helps. Again, 5 cents per message sent. That's all day tomorrow to help support this initiative. So with that being said, we'll get on to our first question. How has mental health impacted your life during the stints with wrestling and with reality TV as well, most recently?
I feel like it impacted me in a lot of ways that I wasn't expecting. I feel like a lot of people chasing their dreams kind of they think that it's kind of an escape to what they had to experience like in the past, and they think, oh, I made it, now I don't have to deal with like that anymore. But it's a lot that comes with being a personality on TV and reality TV and professional wrestling when it comes to interacting with certain people, being in certain environments. I just wasn't expecting stuff that has happened in my life in the past to be so traumatizing to the point where it affects how I interact with people or how I react to certain situations that I'm currently in. So it's definitely impacted me, and I wouldn't say completely in a negative way, but in a way that kind of helps me learn and grow more as a person.
And you find since stepping away, this has allowed you, enabled you to grow, and you feel that the time off was definitely something you needed, right?
For sure. Are you saying me leaving the challenge house?
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing that I did leave away. The fact that I was able to recognize where I was mentally and kind of stepping back from that and saying, okay, maybe I need to kind of hang it up. Maybe I need to, reevaluate what I'm, currently going through. And I think it's a good thing that I walked away and I was able to just see where I was mentally and work on it from there.
Awesome. All right, and I will hand this over to Daniel now.
Now we're going to go back to begin. How was it growing up in Maryland?
It was. I mean, I guess it was cool. While I was there, I wasn't really exposed to, much outside of Maryland until I got out of Maryland. So I thought, that was, although it was my reality, I thought that, that's just how the world was. So I was, I guess I was comfortable. I liked it, just because, that was all I knew and was able to, get through it. But no, Maryland was cool. I liked it a lot.
Now I know that you just started wrestling like as a hobby or whatnot. What got you into wrestling? Was there like a moment or time or like an event you went to that just made you go, "Oh, this is what I want to do"?
It was when I first got introduced to wrestling, I was 5 years old. But when I kind of said to myself I wanted to be a professional wrestler, I remember it was shortly after I attended my first live show, and I realized that I wanted to be one of the people in the ring and not a fan anymore watching from the crowd. So that first event that I went to, I remember it was SummerSlam, and it was in DC. I think that card featured Eddie versus Ray in that ladder match, and like Hogan versus Shawn. So it was a lot of cool matches that made me want to be an actual wrestler.
Oh, that's very cool. What impact did your upbringing have on who you are today?
I definitely think it's had a huge impact. I think that goes back to the question that you had before of how it's impacted me, interacting with guys and wrestling and on reality TV. I think everybody's, past kind of molds their, way of thinking or their personality and stuff like that. So, everything that I've gone through in the past, has definitely made me the person that I am today, whether that's good or bad.
Now, how was the high school experience for you? I know, like, probably around that time, you had the issues where you went into the group home with I heard with your mom and sisters, and then that's what kind of like resurfaced when you went to the challenge house a little bit. But did that affect high school at all, or how was high school for you?
It affected it a little bit. There was some, weird time periods throughout the high school year, with my high school years, where I would, miss, a lot of days because I was going through, like real life stuff, like back at home, or, where I had to kind of leave abruptly, like in the middle of the school day. So, I think it, it wasn't my entire high school years that was ruined because of the situation that I was in. There was a lot of good times in high school where I tried out for the wrestling team and I was, making waves, all across the country and the state and the region and stuff like that. So I had some good times in high school and I was able to accomplish a lot of cool things.
How was wrestling for high school? I didn't know that you actually wrestled in there. How was that experience?
It was really cool. I felt like it was my escape almost from the real world and everything that I was going through, and I had kind of that opportunity to take out my frustrations on the wrestling mat. So I felt like it was really good for me. I feel like if I didn't have wrestling, who knows what kind of mess I would have gotten myself into with just being angry and fed up all the time. And it was a outlet for me.
Now, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but did you take anything from wrestling in high school and then used it for your pro wrestling career at all?
A huge difference. I feel like even though they're both wrestling, it's two completely different worlds. Like,
Yeah.
pro wrestling is, strictly entertainment. And if there's one thing that I could take from amateur wrestling, I think it's shown me a lot of and taught me a lot of, discipline, and hasn't really helped out too much with the patience, because I, I always worked at my own pace and I did that plan. And even though it's a team sport, it's also, an individual sport as well. So I can kind of, get better, on my own and do as much work as I wanted to or needed to in order to get better. I feel like with professional wrestling, you're still working underneath somebody, and you can't really progress or elevate your career quicker than what that promoter, wants you to be. If it was that case, everybody would just be putting themselves as the world champion of every promotion that they were in. So.
Yeah, we actually have a couple comments right now. We got Joe saying, "Hey guys," and
What's
then
going on?
And then, what were you listening to music-wise in high school?
Oh, I was all over the place in high school. I feel like it's changed so much because I went to two different high schools when I was younger. I transferred after my freshman year. My freshman year, I was in private school, and I was kind of outside of my hometown, like city or region. So I was driving. Well, I wasn't driving. I was getting dropped off, 40 minutes from my house, kind of every morning, which was crazy to go to this private school. And just the environment was different. You saw a lot of different, races and ethnicities, and the culture. You're just exposed to a lot more. So I listen to all kind of music, from like heavy metal, like screamo, country, pop, rock, like everything. But when I got back and I transferred and I came back to kind of my region, and you didn't see that many different kinds of people, and it was kind of one-sided when it came to ways of thinking. So everybody kind of listened to the same thing, and I grew up in not like the ghetto of Maryland and DC, but the area that I lived in was predominantly Black. So it was a lot of like hip hop and R&B music and stuff like that.
Did you have any go-tos at all, or were you just all over the place?
Right now, I think I just appreciate good music. I'm not the biggest listener of country, but I still like music. I like all kinds of music.
Are you into sports at all? Do you have any like favorite sports teams?
I used to when I was a little bit younger, but I feel like with me being on TV myself, and I don't know, I feel like me watching sports is me looking back on my own matches and trying to like study myself and stuff like that. So I never really have time to watch sports games and stuff like that. The only time where I'll watch, any kind of sporting event is if there's like a box office boxing match or a UFC fight that everybody's excited about, and I just want to kind of be a part of what everybody's talking about now, and just trying to have fun that way.
Yeah, we have a comment, but I'm going to get back to it because it's going to relate to a question I have in a little bit. But at what point in your life did you decide you wanted to become a wrestler? I know this kind of coincides with what I asked a few minutes ago, but was it kind of watching SummerSlam, or was it like a different moment where you're like, I watched this and now I had this other moment that really made me want to actually become one?
I think, well, I was a fan since I was 5, and I watched it, up until I was 12, obviously until I went to that wrestling show and beyond. But I think probably the live show that I went to, the SummerSlam that I went to, was kind of more of like an eye opener to me, like I think just witnessing something live like that just kind of changes the way you think about something, whether that's really good, or it could kind of like put you off and say, oh, I don't want to watch it anymore. But for me, it made me love watching it even more. It made me love just the overall experience, and seeing that many people cheer for one or two people in the ring. That's what I kind of wanted for myself. I wanted to be one of those people in the ring that thousands of people were cheering for.
Yeah, I remember one of my favorite matches that I watched was actually SummerSlam when they went to England, and it was the British Bulldog and Bret Hart. Do you have a match that is like your favorite from when you're younger that you could say that that's the match that you love to watch?
I've always enjoyed, and I don't know why this is the first match that always pops into my head when somebody asks me about this, but I love that Jeff Hardy versus Undertaker ladder match that was on Raw. Like that's my favorite match. Obviously I'm pretty sure there's matches better than that one, but just for me, as a kid and watching like that cool underdog story with Jeff Hardy and getting that respect from Taker at the end of the match, I think that was pretty cool for me to see when I was a kid.
Yeah, that was great because you knew when you got respect from him that it means a lot, and then they really made it look believable when you thought Jeff Hardy was about to get the title, and then Undertaker just came in and took over.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that match myself. That was in my heyday of, like, as a kid watching it and then just enjoying it so much.
For sure.
But transition from that to your career, how was it? How was your experience training? I know from what I read, you went to school in Maryland. How was that?
It was really cool. I'm glad that I was able to find somewhere, in my hometown, especially a school that was, pretty reputable and a lot of people knew about, and a lot of big names came from that school. So I was super happy about that. The trainers there were incredible. Still incredible to this day. Even with the newer classes and the people that come out of the school now. I think the only thing that was difficult for me was I got so used to being an amateur wrestler, and it was hard to like transition from being like an amateur wrestler, especially at a level of being, an All-American and doing stuff nonstop all year round with amateur wrestling, with the camps and the tournaments and stuff like that, and then going to professional wrestling and not actually hurting somebody when I'm in the ring. So it was cool though. I really liked it.
Now, I think I read that you actually was Patrick Clark in the same training thing as you, also known as Velveteen Dream. Was he in the same class as you, or did you just so happen to come up around the same time?
No, he was in the same exact class as me. I don't know if you recognize these other names, but Renee Michelle, who was Drake Maverick's wife, she was in that same class. Jessica Carr, who's a referee, the first female referee for the WWE. She's on like SmackDown and doing stuff for Raw now. So a lot of cool people came from that class. Oh, funny thing, Desmond Xavier, who is now I don't know what name he's going by now in NXT, but with MD, I don't know the new tag team. I don't know. But
it's
just a lot of cool, cool names and people that
MTK or something like that.
Yeah.
I really liked watching them in Impact, and then I was hoping the three of them would come over, but then it was just the two of them. But I feel like they have a bright future ahead of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but going on from your training, being in a great wrestling like area. I'm from outside of Philadelphia. I'm actually 20 minutes away from where they do CZW. Did you enjoy CCW or Ring of Honor more before your big break?
I feel like I can't choose between the two. I think I enjoyed them equally the same, just because they're two completely separate worlds. The fan base is a little different. The demand is different. Ring of Honor fans, they like that, technical wrestling, just straight up pure wrestling matches. And then you got CZW, where the fans, they like seeing, violence and just these like gruesome wrestling matches and stuff like that. So I enjoyed both of them. And I feel like, CZW is where the Black Heart was born, and Ring of Honor is where I kind of made my name with, just Lio Rush. So if it weren't for those two places, I feel like I would be a completely different wrestler today. So I like them equally as much.
Did you feel like you had to take the intensity down a little bit going from CZW to Ring of Honor, considering how CZW is really like portrayed as a hardcore promotion?
No, I feel like I didn't have to, turn it down too much. Just because, I wasn't really thinking about it. I just wanted to go out there and put on the best matches that I could possible. Ring of Honor, there weren't too many, hardcore or extreme kind of rule matches. So I think just naturally, I just, wrestled. I just wrestled pure wrestling matches.
What is one match from Ring of Honor that you had that people might not know that you really enjoyed?
I would say there's a fatal 4-way match that I had. I believe it was Death Before Dishonor in Las Vegas. It was a pay-per-view. Fatal 4-way match was me versus Dijak versus Jay White versus Hiromu, who's in New Japan now, but back then I think his name was Tamakachi.
Okay.
He was on his excursion from New Japan, and he was in the States for that time. So that was a really cool match that not a lot of people know happened. But if somebody asked me to watch, which match to watch, I would choose that one.
Hiromu is one of my hidden wrestlers that I really enjoy. I actually just got into him this past year watching New Japan, and then that's actually one of the opponents that I would like to see you wrestle in the future, actually. But how did it feel when you actually made it to WWE, and then how did you find out that you got basically promoted to the big show?
Yeah, it was cool. It was a really cool feeling. I feel like I accomplished something special that not a lot of people, especially at the age that I was, got to accomplish or experience. It's kind of unheard of, not impossible, but not really heard of too much about 21, 22-year-old guys being signed to the WWE without a tryout. So it was really cool. I felt like I was on top of the world because I was all over the place on the indies, and I didn't really have a break. I felt like I kind of just rode that wave all the way to WWE, so it was cool.
Yeah. Now, if I recall, when you got called to WWE, did you start out with NXT before you went to 205 Live, and then you just did like small matches, or did you go straight to 205 Live?
No, I had a very short stint on NXT. I remember my first match there was a very short match against Velveteen Dream, and then my second match was against Lars Sullivan, and then kind of after that, I was taken off because I think they kind of already knew by that time that they were gonna put me on 205 Live.
Were you in a Velveteen Dream? Did you guys usually wrestle well together? Did you feel like you didn't have to think about what you had to do, and you guys just went out there and did it because you guys trained together? I believe you guys wrestled on the indies a little bit together, and then you just said one of your first matches in NXT was with him.
Yeah, we had a few tag matches together on the indies. I think we had like one singles match on the indies against each other, but yeah, it felt pretty natural. It felt like I was in there with somebody I've literally been training with for such a long time. So it felt natural being in the ring with him.
Do you guys keep in touch together still, or?
Not really. I know, it's been such a weird situation with
Yeah.
COVID and people's schedules changing and just I've got my own little life going on out here in LA, and I'm sure things are pretty busy in Orlando with kind of all of WWE just running all of their programs and all of their shows, and all of the content that they're putting out is being shot in Orlando. So just two completely different worlds right now, and it's been like that for a while.
Now I know you weren't in NXT too long before you went to 205 Live. Did anybody give you any good advice for when you got called to 205 Live, knowing that you're going to be able to wrestle a little bit more?
No, not really. Other than advice that I would get from family members and friends, and my trainers back at home in Maryland. Nobody really in the company that I can remember right now. I know that during that time period, I was not really walking on eggshells, but I was going through a little bit of drama in the company, so a lot of people were kind of trying to stay clear of really talking to me or reaching out to me and giving me advice. I feel like people were kind of waiting for me to screw up around that time period. So I was just kind of to myself, and talk to the people that were closest to me, and hope for the best.
I know in 205 Live, you came in, you had a very good start, and then it kind of fizzled a little bit. When did you find out that you were going to be working with Bobby Lashley, and then get moved up to Raw?
Yeah, I found out. I remember I just came back home from 205 Live, and I randomly got a text from one of the producers for Raw saying that they needed me for TV on Monday, and that they were going to fly me out last minute. They didn't tell me what why I was needed or what I was doing. I ended up finding out that day that I was going to be on Monday Night Raw with Bobby every week. So that was a pretty insane thing to find out, with only have been in WWE for less than a year. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Now, did they tell you right away that you were just going to be mainly a manager, or did they just tell you, we're flying you out, you're going to be working with him, and then eventually they told you that you're going to mainly be his manager, his mic man?
They didn't really say. I just kind of assumed that that was the role that I was going to be in. Um, especially with around the same time they had Drake Maverick come up and managing AOP. So I figured, Drake Maverick didn't wrestle on 205 Live, and they brought him over to talk for somebody. So I just figured they were doing the same thing with me, just to try to test out the whole manager thing, since they haven't done it in a long time. But yeah, I figured that I was just gonna, stay a manager. I wasn't really expecting to have too many matches on Raw.
And then I assume you just felt like you were going to make the most of it and then try and impress them that way. And then I remember listening to an interview that you had, that you said that you kind of just went with it on the go and then learned to do that. And then from that, like, how's your relationship with Bobby Lashley? I know somebody had a comment. I was going to wait till now to bring it up. If you could bring that up, Archie. Lio, how did it feel working with Bobby Lashley, and what's your opinion on the Hurt Business stable?
It felt great working with Bobby. I felt super comfortable. He was pretty excited to work with me. I thought that was pretty cool that it was, not just one-sided. He was also ready for something new and exciting. And he told me that, before he found out he was going to be paired up with me, he was watching some of my social media videos a couple of days before he had found out that I was coming in. But yeah, it was super fun working with Bobby. As far as like the Hurt Business, I don't watch, and I haven't watched, any, WWE broadcast since my release, really, just because, again, I have, so many things going on now, But I have seen clips and photos here and there, and it looks like they're doing pretty good. It looks like it's pretty successful. It looks like everybody is enjoying it. I know he's done some work with MVP before in Impact. So I'm pretty sure they're super comfortable with it too. So I'm happy for Bobby, and I'm happy for everybody, in that stable. It looks like they're doing pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good to see that he was open to doing it with you, and he was excited about it, because you really don't hear much about Bobby Lashley, which to me is a good thing, because when you hear something, it's usually something bad or something skeptical. But he's been able to stay kind of relevant without having too much backlash on him. So it's good to see that he was all about working with you. Now I know shortly, like, you worked with him for, I believe, over a year, and then around WrestleMania or after WrestleMania, they took you off of TV. How long after that did you find out that before that, did you find out that they were taking you off TV? And then how long before that were you asked to go to NXT?
Well, I didn't really find out that I was being taken off of TV. I think I just kind of assumed that I wasn't coming back. I was told that somebody was going to kind of get back to me in a couple of days or a couple of weeks, because I had some things that I wanted to resolve, financially with the company, and nobody really ever gotten back to me. So it was, months. I think it was in total about, 6-7 months before I heard anything back from anybody. But by that time, it was Hunter saying that he wanted to bring me back to NXT to be a part of, the new USA network, partnership with NXT. So, yeah.
How did that make you feel that he brought you back and he wanted to get you on a camera? And then it seemed like he was trying to back you there with bringing you back on with how you left.
Yeah, it was 50-50. Yeah, it was 50-50. I still had my frustrations, but at the same time, I was happy to be back wrestling. But it was still a lot of things that needed to be talked about with the company as a whole, and what I felt was necessary for me to even be back, or what I felt like was fair. So no, it was cool though. The amount of things that I was able to do in that short run that I had coming back to NXT was pretty cool. I got to be a part of some pretty I believe historic things that happened that people will be talking about for years to come. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I really like that those storylines that you had with Angel Garza. They were really well. And then I thought the one thing that I thought was pretty neat was when you came back, you kind of had a new look. Like, you had the longer hair like you had now, and then you had the coat. Was that planned? Did you have any input on that, or were they just like, we're just going to change your attire up?
No, that was just me. That was me just trying to, I guess, not really rebrand myself, but just kind of come back with a fresh start. Obviously, if I was going to be coming back, I wasn't really going to be coming back as somebody in a suit with sunglasses and, being a manager for somebody. So I wanted to kind of present myself in a different way to try to get people to kind of forget that the Bobby stuff even happened, because they weren't really addressing it on TV, and it kind of just didn't make sense how it all ended. So, in my mind, I was just like, this is a fresh start. So, yeah.
Yeah, I may actually have a picture of you with the Cruiserweight title, if you want to bring that up, Archie. 1 minute. Well, that's you with Bobby Lashley, and then we got the one with the right there. I actually like that look. That was one of my favorite looks that you had, was with the bandana, the jacket. And then for me, how did it feel to win the Cruiserweight title? Because up to that point, that was your first title in the company. And how did that feel that they put the strap on you?
No, it was cool. I feel like every kid, watching WWE, they grow up, wanting to be a champion in WWE. So I definitely feel like that was something that I was proud that I was able to accomplish while I was there.
Yeah. Now I know soon after that, it seemed like right when you were getting on a roll with NXT, a little bit after that was when the pandemic happened, and then WWE they put out saying that they're releasing certain amount of people. Then you were one of the cuts. Were you one of the cuts for that, or do you feel like they kind of lost interest in you?
Um, I'm not really sure. I know that, with obviously with my history of things that happened in WWE while I was there, I feel like it was just kind of a easier uh, target to just
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, we're gonna have you be like one of these people to leave. And around that time, I was kind of fed up and frustrated, anyways, and I kind of felt like they were trying to distance themselves from me. So it wasn't, although it was, devastating. It was something that nobody, wishes for. I definitely don't feel like it was surprising.
Yeah. Before we move to the next topic, we got a few comments that just came in. Did you really get heat for staying in character on Twitter when you first got to NXT?
I don't think it was a matter of staying in character on Twitter. I think just people were overall just rubbed the wrong way by me. Right before I got to WWE, my name was kind of circulating because of a clip that happened in CZW with me kind of no selling a power bomb off of a ladder, and also, earlier on in NXT, I made a tweet that got some attention, some not not good attention. So I think people were just rubbed the wrong way by those two things, and it didn't really help my situation. Getting more opportunities in WWE, I feel like a lot of people felt like maybe I shouldn't have deserved some of the stuff uh, that I had.
And then we got a comment from Joe. When did you start making music?
A few years ago, when it was when I kind of took that break and I was home for those 7 to 8 months, and I had to kind of find something else to sink my teeth into. Sitting at home for all that time and not really knowing what my wrestling career looked like, that was time for me to kind of explore my other options and see if I had any other options, and see if uh, music was something that I wanted to pursue. So that's when I started doing music.
Now, the question I want to know is how did the music video come about for Stone Cold?
Yeah, that was super last minute. I had no idea that it was happening until it happened, honestly. Joseph was in town, and he wanted to meet up, and we all kind of decided to go to a studio together, and we were listening to beats, and somebody had mentioned that they thought we should all do a challenge anthem. So we recorded we recorded that song that night, and then Joseph only had a couple of days left here in LA, and he said that, I think we should shoot a music video to this. So we decided to all get up the very next morning, super early in the morning, and shoot a video to this song that we just recorded the night before. So all of that happened, under 24 hours, which was crazy.
Yeah, I really dug the song, and then I didn't expect to see Jay in it, and then he surprised me in the song, and then
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoa!" Because you don't see him in that way. Like you see him on the show. Of course, he was on Survivor, and then came to this show. You just didn't expect it, but I really enjoyed all three of you guys doing it, and then I was glad that you guys put that out.
Definitely.
Yeah, we got two comments from Gary. The first one we got is, "When are you going to wrestle Danny Limelight?" We actually had him on the show a couple months ago, so he's a friend of the podcast. And then Gary's been waiting for this answer for a few months.
Gary, the answer is never. He can keep dreaming.
Nice. And then he has another comment. does being a big MTV star give you leverage in the wrestling business? Did it get you SAG?
I mean, I really don't. I really don't know. I mean, it's still so fresh. I just got off the show. What has it been? 2 weeks now, or a week? A week
A
now.
week. Yeah.
And there's not too much leverage because there's not much happening in wrestling right now in general. So I mean, it's cool that I was able to do the stuff that I did with MTV with the challenge. Hopefully it'll give me a little bit of leverage in something.
Yeah. Now to transition a little bit away from wrestling for a second, and then go into the MTV. How soon after your release did MTV reach out to you about the challenge?
I think it was about a month, maybe a month and a half. They reached out to me.
Yeah, and then I watched a podcast last week, and you actually said that you think that your managing Bobby Lashley might have been something that you think that caught their eye. Do you think that's like very true, or did they ever say what made them contact you?
I think it helped. It's probably I don't believe that it was the sole reason why they decided to reach out to me, but I think being on TV and being a TV personality like that, there's not a lot of managers in the WWE. And I highly doubt that it was just my in-ring ability that made them want to put me on a challenge. If that was the case, they would be reaching out to all of the wrestlers that were on the show. But I think I definitely kind of put myself out there and tried to become not just a professional wrestler, but just be an overall personality that people will remember.
Now, I heard that to get familiar with the show, you actually binged a bunch of the seasons. Which one was your favorite to watch, and why?
I was able to get through the last season that was before mine, and I used to watch Real World Road Rules when I was younger. I don't really remember too much of it. I do remember, seeing Wes. I remember seeing Anissa. Which is crazy, that they were on my season too. It was such a long time ago. But yeah, I enjoyed the last season that I was on. It made me, really excited, especially watching it so close to me being on the actual show. It made me feel like, I was kind of already, ready and prepared to be on it.
Yeah, we actually interviewed a few weeks ago Devin, and then I told Devin that we're getting ready to interview you, and he was like, "Good luck with that." He was like, "He's going to be a great interview, a great guy."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he wanted me to tell you that.
Nice. Yeah, Devin was cool. We actually were in the same room together in the house. So yeah.
How's that?
He's a very interesting individual. Yeah.
He definitely was when we interviewed him. That was really great.
Yeah.
He's very smart, but then he's really blunt and very open.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to get to know him and to get to talk to him, because I figured he was going to be like that, but then he was actually very nice on top of that. So
sure.
It was really cool. What was it like to be a contestant on the challenge? Because I know it's way different from being a wrestler. How was it being on the show? Then how was adjusting to it?
It was cool. It was a lot of fun. It reminded me of, being that high school wrestling competitor and having that like competitive spirit. So it was really fun. It was cool and it felt good to, be around people and not have to be in character and I could just kind of be me. So it was cool to be a part of the season.
Now, how was it being partners with Gabby? I know you both were rookies, so was that pretty cool to be able to have the same experience with her being the first time on the show, or like, did you guys talk a lot?
I think I don't know if I would necessarily call it cool. My experience with Gabby was good on the show. I said I think I said in my confessionals, and I said to a lot of people in the house that, if I feel like I had any other person in the house, then I would probably go crazy. I think out of the entire cast, she kind of felt like the most normal to me. So it was nice to kind of have a conversation every once in a while and not feel like playing a game and I'm like, making all of these like crazy strategic moves and stressing myself out 24/7. But it was cool. I definitely wasn't expecting to have a partner on on the show. I think that was the last thing I was expecting. So when TJ told us to kind of pick partners, and I feel like my entire game plan or whatever strategy I had just completely went out the window.
That's what I love about the show, because when you think they're going to go one way, they go a completely different way, just to switch things up, to change up the rules.
Yeah.
And then you always look at TJ, and then he does it perfectly when he says things. He's like, but here's a twist with the season, and then everybody just goes crazy because they're like, oh, what is he going to say now? But one moment that I really like that you're a part of, which probably gets brought up all the time, is the moment you had in deliberation with CT, where he kind of like everybody ganged up on him, it seemed like, in the first episode. And he mentioned something to you, and then you just go to him, man, he was like, you don't scare me. Like, I body slam guys twice your size. Like, how did that feel to just stand up to CT, because he's like the godfather of the challenge?
I feel like I was just so used to, being around guys a lot bigger than me, my entire life, especially with professional wrestling. There's giants everywhere. I'm usually the smallest person, in the room whenever I'm in at a wrestling show. So it didn't really feel any different. I'm sure a lot of people, watching the show and people in the house were used to seeing, CT as kind of that big monster of MTV's The Challenge. But, in that moment where he was kind of trying to put me in a corner and punk me out and say that he was going to vote for me, I didn't hesitate with saying, I was gonna vote for you, and if it came down to it, I'm not going to be scared in the slightest.
Now, did he come up to you afterwards and have a talk with you and was like, touche, I didn't expect that from you? Or did you guys not really talk?
No, me and CT were actually really cool in the house. I feel like he was probably one of the closer males to me in the house. I feel like we always kind of had our insider jokes, and we were always laughing about, crazy things. And when other people would argue at the top of their lungs, we just thought it was funny because we kind of had that first argument in the house. And now here we are just kind of being best friends in the house while everybody else is arguing. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's great. How is the house's reaction when you stood up to him? Because they didn't really show anybody's reaction on TV. They showed you say that, and then they showed him, and they kind of panned off from it. How's the reaction from everybody?
A lot of people weren't expecting it at all, especially because I was already pretty quiet in the house. I didn't, say too much. That was the whole process of, just talking to people and just trying to figure out what was going on in the game. And then I feel like as soon as the game started, all hell broke loose, and they kind of saw a different side of me that they really wasn't, expecting.
Do you still talk to anybody from this season?
I talked to Jay. I talked to, I would say Jay and Joseph. Jay and Joseph are the only two people I really talked to. I talked to Corey the other week, and we're probably going to meet up and try to hang out. I'm sure Nelson is going to come with that package too. So at some point, I'll be hanging out with Nelson. So it's pretty cool. I'm glad that there's a few people who also live in LA that I can hit up every once in a while and do something with.
Yeah, how was the decision to leave the house? I know when you actually told Gabby, it was nice to see that she was really understanding of it. And then, did you know about the interactions from what the other people said, like when you left, or did you not find out until you watched the episode? Because I know Cam had a nice thing to say about you leaving. She said usually her and TJ where he said like usually we don't like people leaving the house, but this is a very understandable thing. And then we applaud you for doing that. And then Cam was like I applaud him for doing this. Like not a lot of people would be able to make that decision.
Yeah, as soon as I told everybody, it was a very kind of fast process to just leaving the house. I didn't really get to uh, have moments with everybody, talking to me and trying to convince me to stay or I was actually pretty nervous to watch the episode back. I was talking to my wife about it and saying I didn't know how they were really going to air it. I didn't know how they, were going to make it out to be. I didn't know if it was going to be a good thing or a bad thing. So she kind of encouraged me to watch the episode, and I'm glad that I did. And I'm glad to see, so many people have such a positive reaction to it and, understanding the situation. And it was pretty cool. It was cool to see what Cam said. It was cool to see what TJ said. All of that stuff was said after I'd already left. So I'm glad that I watched the episode back.
Now, knowing like the reason why you left, which I didn't find out until a little while ago, was like you weren't able to talk to your wife and family because you weren't like familiar with how they did the phone calls. Now, knowing that you were on the show and to know how they run everything, would you do another season if your schedule allowed it?
Probably, yeah. I would definitely do it again. I think now knowing, what it is and how things kind of run and just having a better understanding of, what I'm getting myself into, I definitely think I would be an entirely different, competitor in the house, from the first season.
Yeah, because I know, like with the going into the house the first time, you had the unknown feeling of what to expect, and then that kind of reminded you of being in a group home because so many unknowns. But now that you have that experience and you can actually know when to contact your family, that it might help you get through to the end. If you had to do it again, would you pick a different partner, or were you happy with Gabby?
I mean, I would prefer not having a partner at all. I'm not
Understandable.
I'm not really one to rely on people. But I think in that moment it was so fast I couldn't even process what was going on, and it kind of just came down to me and Gabby. It's not like I, scoped out the entire cast and said, "All right, I'm choosing you." I think it was just one of those things where we were literally the last two confused people, so we ended up getting paired together. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I would pick, a different partner now. You know, understanding that having a partner is a possibility.
Who do you think's going to win Double Agents?
Um, I don't know. I honestly feel like it's anybody's game. You watch, the challenge, season after season, and you never really expect who's going to win. I feel like there's a bunch of wild cards that end up, surprising you and taking out your favorites early on in the game and stuff like that. So I honestly feel like it's anybody's game.
Yeah, I really hope Leroy finally wins because he did come out and say this would be his last season. So it would be nice to see him win, or at least make it to the final and come close because he's been doing it. I feel like forever, and then he's always had the short end of the stick. I thought War of the Words 2 was his best chance, and he did his best during that time. But I'm rooting for him. And then I'm definitely rooting for you to come back because I know you would be a force to reckon with if they have you come on another season.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, how long after you left the Challenge House did you start booking wrestling shows again?
I'm trying to remember where the first place I went to.
Because I think one of the first ones that I heard about was the matches you had with Joey Janela.
That was before. That was before
Oh, okay.
on the challenge. But I think the first show that I had after was GCW ran this string of shows called The Collective, and I ended up wrestling ACH. And I think that was one of my first matches that I had after I left the challenge house. So that might have been maybe like a month, a little less than a month.
Now, how was it to get a call from MLW? How did that happen?
It felt good. I feel like MLW was one of the first people who reached out to me after I got released from WWE. And although something didn't happen, right away, it was still cool to know that they wanted to do something with me. So the schedule just was in the right position, and MLW was ready to do something, and I had the time, and there was interest on both ends. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm glad that I'm currently doing stuff with MLW, and it's a really cool place to be. And I'm glad that I'm one of the people in the company that Court Bauer trusts, and to be a champion in the company.
Now, do you feel like it would have still happened the way that it did had you still been in the challenge house for a longer period of time, or was it kind of just like the right place at the right time?
I think it was just right place at the right time. I think everything happens for a reason, and once one thing happens, something else is going to come from it. Or yeah, it was just the right place, right time. And the stars aligned with this situation, so I'm glad that they did.
How was it to win the MLW middleweight title in I believe it was your debut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that make you feel that they're willing to put the strap on you right in your debut?
It just shows that they trust me, and they believe in everything that I've been putting out there for the past 5 years, and they see value in me, and that's all anybody can ever ask for when they're working with a bigger promotion like MLW.
Now, how did the opportunity come about with working for New Japan Pro Wrestling?
That came about with I had a conversation with Rocky Romero, and just kind of opening up to him and telling him where I was at in my wrestling career and what I wanted in wrestling, and where I saw myself in the future. And it felt like New Japan was the perfect fit. And, I did what any, person would do in a situation where they're looking for an opportunity. And, I said to him, I said, if there was any open opportunities for New Japan, any at all, I would be more than happy to take it. And I'm just looking for an opportunity, and luckily they had an open spot in the Super J Cup tournament, and I was able to be a part of one of those 8 people to represent the US for the Super J Cup.
Yeah. How do you feel about New Japan having the dojos and the way they bring guys up that way, where they kind of earn their stripe, but it feels like it's more of a honorable way, like you earn your keep for a year or two, then you go on an excursion, then you usually come back, and then you earn your way to get a gimmick, or like to become your own character. How do you like that?
I really like it. I feel like it feels a little more real to me. Like I think, just coming from amateur wrestling and, living that lifestyle, I feel like it's a perfect fit for me in New Japan. I feel like wrestling is looked at a little differently in Japan, so respected in a different way. And I feel like I want to be a part of that. I want to be looked at as, one of the best actual, professional wrestlers. And I feel like, people, treat those guys like professional wrestlers, like real athletes, rather than, just like a TV personality and a character and stuff like that. So there's a certain level of realism with New Japan that really sits well with me.
Now, if you had the chance to choose, knowing how your career came up to this point, if you would have had to choose between WWE or going through New Japan through their dojo way, would you have chose New Japan or would you still choose WWE?
I think I would have still chose WWE. I think, even though it didn't end well in my favor, I still feel like I've grown a lot from it, and I've learned so many things that I probably wouldn't have learned so quickly on the indies or being in the dojo. So I'm glad that I have that experience now going into New Japan.
Now I got two questions left for you because I know you're a busy man. But the first question I have is, who's somebody you would like to wrestle in MLW and in New Japan?
In MLW, I think low key, and in New Japan, I would say Hiromu.
That's one I would love to hear, like I said before, because he's just out there. He's crazy. He has the personality, and he just seems to put on a show every time he's on TV. Now, the last question I have for you: what can we expect from Lio Rush in the future?
I think you can just expect a lot of new projects, coming, from me. I'm always working on something, whether that's music. I've got a new podcast coming out with my wife. I'm always dishing out new merch. I'm always at a new show. I'm always, just trying to stay as busy as possible. So I feel like, just expecting the unexpected, because I'm always, taking opportunities here and there. So, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the podcast with your wife?
Yeah, it's going to be a podcast that the fans are really creating our content. I don't know if you saw or know about. We did a weekly webisode called Orange You Glad You Asked the Question, where people would ask questions, our fans would ask questions to pretty much get to know a little bit more about me and her as a couple. So it's going to be that, but just in podcast form, and we're going to be answering, fans' questions, and we're going to have our own little cool segments on there talking about some of the things that, we're interested in and what we have going on. So it'll be pretty cool to have that fan interaction because, I feel like it's kind of almost their podcast in a sense.
Yeah. Now, where could we find that podcast, and when are you looking to get that started?
So we're probably going to start recording soon. We're going to put out some more details. We just announced it the other day. So we're just getting, some questions together and just letting everybody know that, the podcast is on its way.
That sounds good. So if anybody want to keep an eye out and look out for his Twitter, I'm pretty sure he'll announce stuff about that in the future. And then before we get going, we just want to promote your match on Friday night on New Japan Strong. We actually have a picture of it that Archie's going to bring up. Your premiering this Friday will be you, TJP, and Fred Rosser against Kenta, El Phantasmo, and Hikuleo. So everybody look out for Lio Rush on New Japan, and then keep watching him on MLW because he's going to be a big-time player for them in the upcoming future. But I know you got to get going and then just get a little bit something to eat because you got more work to do. You're a busy man. But I just want to thank you for coming on to do this interview with us, and then put on the buzz, and we appreciate you taking time out to talk to us.
For sure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys having me on. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully, a lot of people learned some pretty cool stuff about me.
Yep. And then if you want to follow Lio Rush on Twitter at the Lionel Green, definitely follow him. He's going to be a big time player. And is there anything you want to say before you get going?
Just for anybody, watching or listening, thank you for supporting me. Thank you for all the love and, understanding with the departure in the Challenge House. And hopefully I'll be seeing you guys soon. on another season, or if not, you guys can check out what I have going on in the wrestling world. My Instagram is pretty active, and I'm always updating people on what I have going on. So make sure you guys, check that out. And thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm looking forward, like I said, to Friday. I'm looking forward to seeing if you wind up on the challenge in the future. I know everybody else is, but you have yourself a nice night. And
Yes,
thank you again.
definitely.
Talk to you later.
Take care.
Yep. Thank him so much for coming on. What a great guy. Did you take anything from this interview, Archie?
Yeah, that was great. I mean, honestly, it was one of those things where you always like to see the other side, like the real side of these guys. We see them on TV, you see them on reality TV shows in this case, and in wrestling, and they're real people just like everybody else, right? And it's hard enough for somebody to admit when they're going through mental illness and stress and depression and whatnot and anxiety, and it's a really hard thing to discuss. And for someone to come out in the open and walk away from potentially a future opportunity with MTV, that's a bold move on his part. But you know what? It takes a lot to admit that and to take that step in life. So I feel like coincidentally, I mean, like he said, right, perfect place, right time.
Yeah,
things opened up for him to return to wrestling, and in a big way for him, right? So maybe MTV is not his path right now. Maybe that'll come down the line. But I'm a big believer of everything happening for a reason, and it feels like he seems to be on that same path, and he's had quite the drive to go in the direction that he's gone in. So it's amazing, man. It's a good story. It's a great feel good story to hear when you hear stuff like that from people that we don't necessarily realize and understand are just like me and you, man.
It's crazy to just think that even though he didn't have the greatest experience with WWE, he was able to take a little bit of that and use it in the future. Just like we said, he was able to take the managerial role, and it kind of helped him land the spot on the challenge. And then he actually enjoyed it and met a few people on the show that he's going to hang out with, and then became friends with. He did a music video with two of the guys that was last minute, but it turned out to be a great music video. I was going to actually try and play it, but I didn't want to have to go through all the hoops.
Yeah.
So if you want to check out the video, just go to YouTube and type in Stone Cold and then Lio Rush, and it should pop up. It's a really great one with him, Joseph, and Jay from the challenge. I'm looking forward to seeing him on another season of the challenge, and then watch MLW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, because he's on there now, and then he's going to be a guy in the foreseeable future that is going to have success there. And I'm glad that he took one negative and he's able to turn it into a positive. And then I believe he's on any minute now. He's due to have his third kid. So I want to congratulate him in advance on that. And then I wish his family many well wishes. Anything you got to say before we get going?
Absolutely. Just for all the fans, followers, watchers, we're on social media, as you know. In addition to our website and where you might be watching right now, whether it be on Twitter or Facebook, please feel free to show us some love. Here's where you can find us.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I'd go far. Baby, it's crystal clear. I'm not a souvenir. I'm not an accessory. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now.
Of course, we are the Buzz. Those are our social media. So you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter under the handle at WTB.com. That is WTBDOTCOM. And then we have a whole bunch of podcasts live on here for the schedule for the week. And then if you want to check out all of them, here is the schedule video for the Buzz for the week.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you won't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by your locksmith. On the block throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, with the top dish. Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, swish. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. This is how champions are made, but it never happens in a day. It's all hard work, but it's why what happens when we play 9 out of 10 times. I'ma left you.
So there you have it, guys. We've got something pretty much every day of the week. Things pick back up tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Eastern with regularly scheduled hostilities with the usual crew, Josh, Chuck Winchester, and Yvonne, where they're going to be talking about this weekend for all you wrestling fans. Big weekend, Royal Rumble. You excited for that?
Oh, I'm excited. And then if you didn't catch the working fans earlier, they're running actual like a promo thing where if you can watch RSH tomorrow and find out who Josh DeBorg thinks is going to win the Royal Rumble, just tune into Working Fans Podcast next Wednesday at 6. Give them the answer when they ask, and then you will win a prize. They showed it on earlier. I didn't catch what it was, but I know it's going to be something good. So definitely tune in next Wednesday. Tell them after you watch RSH tomorrow who Josh DeBorg thinks is going to win the Royal Rumble, and then they'll handsomely reward you.
And I'll give you guys a hint. Josh DeBorg hates Charlotte Flair. So that's not the answer. That's all I can tell you.
Yep. So we thank you for tuning in to this interview. Thank you to Lio Rush for joining us. I know he has a busy schedule. So I thank him for taking time out to have this interview with us. And then I am D-Bake. This is Archie. And you guys have a wonderful rest of your night.
Have a good one, guys.